Is it important to have a financial freedom? Yes, it is. Today we have Prashant, the founder and the CEO of My Family Finance. Let's get started. I would like you guys to join our community and wait for the inspiring video. Hi Prashant, how are you?
How are you, Pudvi?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so grateful to have you here today. So I wanted to ask you many questions regarding your experience and your personal journey. Can you tell a bit about your journey and how did you start?
Okay, I will go back to 1988. Okay, that's when we migrated from Fiji to Australia and we came to Melbourne. And Melbourne has always been our home. I worked a lot in the eastern suburbs for probably good 15 years of my career in finance, sales, marketing. And through that process, we've developed a number of different companies. Nan Global is our parent company. So when I say parent company, in 2006, we started off Nan Global Enterprise. So the purpose of that, I always knew that we're going to branch off into multiple companies and, even like we've got staff operating out of Vietnam.
Wow,
right?
That's amazing.
India, so Philippines. So Melbourne's always been a home base, but I've always had a global vision, to have, and really behind the scenes, what was the purpose of that was for us to be able to work anywhere in the world.
Yep.
So I had this vision a long time ago. It took forever to sort of create.
Yeah, 2006 is like long time actually.
It is a long time,
Yeah.
yes. But now where we are right now, to see all those components sort of come alive and working and growing, it's an amazing thing. So My Family Finance itself has been running since 2017. And that particular area is in consulting, debt reduction, wealth management. How do we help people pay down their debts faster and create massive amounts of wealth for their retirement? So that's an area that I'm really passionate about. And the reason I'm passionate about it is because I've been spending a lot of time with families, visiting mum and dads in their home, talking to them about their mortgages, looking at their overall finances and where they're losing a lot of money. If you fast forward now, what have we got, 2024? We're looking at high levels of pressure in terms of debt, people's budgets. Cost of living's out of control. At some stage, the rates will start coming down, but I think we're at that peak point now where a lot of people are feeling that pressure. So when we're sitting down with mum and dads or our customers, we're talking to them about their these particular areas and how to fast track it for them to get them out of debt.
Okay, that's pretty good actually.
Sure.
But as you mentioned, the debt rate has been increased higher in Australia, as everybody knows that.
Yes.
Interest rates has been like booming.
Yes.
So what do you see deeply into that, and how do you suggest your clients to make sure that they are in not that position?
A lot of the times when we come in, our customers are already, initially, they don't actually understand what can be done if their finances were structured properly or if there's an efficiency. So part of our role is that education. So we're looking at from an auditing point of view. So when we visit mum and dad or, parents in a sense, they've got, a young family, they've got a mortgage, they're working. There is a little bit of pressure there, but until they sort of put their hand up and say, hey, what else can we do? Traditional banking is failing a lot of people. So I think that part, by the time we're sitting down and showing clients what's actually wrong with their finances, it's a massive eye-opener. How we're able to do it, we use tools. We have knowledge and experience in how the banking system actually works. And then what we do is we design a plan and a program for our clients to achieve month by month. If they follow A, B, C, and D, then they'll be able to get those results. In a lot of our clients, from 30-year mortgages, we can knock out the mortgage in 7 to 8 years, depending on people, where people are in terms of capacity. Sometimes it sort of stretches out to 12 to 13 years, especially if they've got a lot of goals in there, like kids' education or they want to travel. So it's not always about limiting them in their budget. It's about understanding their needs and what's important for the family and then structuring those goals around them.
It is like mentoring them in all the ways.
100%.
So how do you mentor in because if a couple are going through a lot of hardships like this, how do you mentor in wife and husband, both the ways?
I think there's a lot of different psychology between husband and wife. So they ultimately want the same things, but how they go about it is slightly different. men's mentality, what in my humble experience over the years when I've interviewed so many people, what I've noticed is the attitude is always about going to work, making as much money as possible, and then by the time the money comes in, it's like, how do they manage that money, or that management of the money is not necessarily there. So we all want to earn more and more money, but once that money comes into the household, how do they manage that money? I think that component's missing. So traditionally, ladies, and this is not a sexist thing, it's just something that we found, and it's a generalization again. Ladies tend to manage the money a little bit better.
Yeah, I know that.
A traditional,
it is everywhere.
correct,
Everywhere.
correct. The traditional roles, the male goes out and earns money, but obviously in this day and age, both parties are actually out there earning money. Why? Because the need to earn that type of money is much higher. Yeah. So, and again, what's driving it? The high cost of mortgages, to maintain lifestyle, the cost of living, all those things are just skyrocketing. So when we're coming back to the relationship with money, individually, how each person looks at the money, what their goals are, what's their aspirations. If you tie all that to like a financial plan around their needs and wants, and then create like a structure. So efficiency is obviously the key in all of this. So we break it down for our customers to say, what can they do? What are the areas they can change in their banking right now? Look at their budgeting side of it. Look at the tax efficiency side of it. We bring in the financial planning side of it. Are they risk protection, risk management? If they're creating all this asset, if something were to happen to husband or wife or whatever it is, where does that leave the other party or the family as a unit? So I think from a traditional point of view, we really focus on bringing the families and helping them understand that, treat it like a business. You've got income coming in, you've got expenses going out. What you're left with in terms of profit, right? And how well you manage that profit will determine how well that business or that family unit will really, really work. So these things right now, there is not as much profits in the family home right now.
Right now, obviously, that's true actually. If you can
Yes.
see in Australian economy right now,
Sure.
drastically fallen down.
Correct.
And the rates has been increased, the rents has been increased, everything
Correct,
is
yeah.
like on the top. So
Yes.
how do you mainly concentrate if a couple comes to you and they wanted to manage some assets and they have limited resources and limited income? How do you suggest them?
Sure, and great question, because it's not always about high income
Yep.
clients. I think that's where the mistake is. I think in this particular area, it should be started much earlier, regardless. If I had the crystal ball or the insight, I would actually encourage people to do it from day one as soon as they start working. But generally what happens is when we're starting work, if you go back, people will be looking at, okay, I've got money coming in. They're usually paying off their student loans, or they're paying off car loans. So money has never been like used right, correctly from the start. Not, when you were looking at a general thing. We've got multiple businesses like you touched on, but my family finance, when it comes to mortgages, finance, debt reduction, this is always going to be my passion. We'll talk about some of the other businesses and where we're heading there, but the area of my family finance is really in consulting, narrowing down. You don't need to know all the ins and outs about mortgages, but you have to partner up and work with the right people. So when we're having that initial conversation with our customers, we really, really need to understand, are they going to be a good fit for us? Are we going to be able to deliver these type of results? Is it something in terms of capacity that they can do? What is the level of education that they need? How do we bring husband and wife to align their goals together? So they actually support each other. So a lot of the times when we're having these conversations, the goals are not necessarily aligned. They want the same things, as I mentioned earlier, but sometimes we have them going in different directions, or the communication's not there. So we start from like a benchmark. We look at where they are, what can be done. So we really itemize all the things that we can help them with. And then once they give us the green light, we'll start putting it together, a plan and a process on how they're going to be able to achieve that. And a lot of our clients are long-term clients, so it's not about transactional, here's a mortgage, off you go. I think that's where traditional mortgage broking is failing a lot of people in Australia. I think your traditional financial planning is also failing a lot of Australians as well, because financial planning, a lot of people sort of activate that later on in their lives. When they've got a lot of super, they may have bought a property, and they may have a couple of debts, or they've got an investment property. So that, they're starting to sort of, okay, I'm trying to create a little bit of assets here, a couple of there's liabilities there, but how do I actually retire? So generally financial planners come in around 50, 55, and then they've got a lot more to work, asset-wise, they've got a lot of equity or they've got shares, and then they're like, okay, if they're going to be retiring 65 or 70, how aggressive do we need to help the customers be in terms of setting up their wealth? Yeah.
Yep.
So my belief is that you have to start much earlier, and that education piece is really important. So a lot of information on the internet right now, internet websites, a lot of YouTubes, but,
Social media, yeah.
Absolutely. So we try and sort of stay out of a lot of that because I think this is a very personal thing, and so it needs to be dialed into the individual. So yes, you can collect a lot of information from social media, but is it the right thing for you? Do you have anyone explaining the right, if you do this, what happens there? So that's kind of where we win, I think, when we're working with, like when I say traditionally mum and dads, it's not always mum and dad. So it's single people. We've had brothers and sisters as clients, and they, building their assets. So anyone that's serious about saving money, paying off their debts faster, creating that wealth, we're happy to sit down and work out a plan and a strategy for them.
Yeah, that's really amazing. The experience you got is like fabulous. So let's deep dive into your personal life, and how did you start your journey, and can you explain me your personal experience? What are the hardest clients you deal, and what are the easiest things you deal?
Sure. What happened with me was I grew up in the West, and the West don't necessarily are very money savvy. We know how to hustle, right? So what I found was you can make money, but if you don't know how to manage that money or make that money work for you, you're kind of always going to be in that cycle of running around or working for somebody for the rest of your life, and you're not really creating assets. So I wanted something different. I wanted to be in that position, and as you know, when I established Nand Global Enterprise, I had that big vision of where I want to get to. So finance was always going to be a big component of that. So my idea was, okay, so I had a full-time job. I was doing really, really well in sales and leadership roles and management. So as I was climbing the corporate ladder, there was one thing that happened that really, really shook me up a little bit. It was a day where I noticed 65 people being sacked, right? And then walked out of the company, and like boxes, they had all their stuff in there.
Wow.
And a few people were upset, and my job, my role was pretty safe. I was an upcoming team leader at the stage, and I was watching, and I was like, okay, but I was never the same after that. 6 months after, all the dust settled, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, that happened, but I was like, no.
Oh, that's not my cup of tea. It's not working for
20
me.
years someone's been working at that company, and and it happens. Companies have to restructure and things like that, and they were walked out the door. So I always had this feeling of, I need to be a little bit more in control. I need to know, I'm happy to take the risk. If I'm going to make mistakes, okay, it's on me, but I can't have someone pull the rug underneath me, especially if I put 20 years into something.
Your effort is a lot important more than what you do.
Correct. So that's where, and I was always reading business books, right? For me, that was a very important stage. It wasn't about me working at a company and sort of climbing, well, a bit of it was climbing the corporate ladder, but I was okay with earning what I earned because the skill sets that I was learning on the job, I knew those skill sets were never going to set me up for life in that corporate environment. However, it gave me the time and luxury to be really relaxed and study books and the audio that I mentioned, and focus a little bit on the health side. We have personal trainers and everything. That was all provided by that company, and it was a fantastic company to work for. But I just knew I'm not going to be there for 10 years, 15 years. It was never going to happen. So what happened after that, Prithvi? I ended up resigning. I actually took 2 weeks off, and I said, okay, really focus. What do I want to do? If I want to, become a serious entrepreneur and really build wealth, what do I need to do? So I sort of thought about all these things, but I didn't do anything. For 2 weeks, my leave, I came back to work. The first day I got back to work, I was like, right, I can't handle this. Here's my resignation. I haven't even found another job. I have to resign, because if I didn't resign at that point, I'd probably still be there, because it was really comfortable, very enjoyable. So I resigned. Then because I resigned, that forced me to sort of stop and look at where I was. I knew I needed to be in business environment, but I needed to learn the skill sets. That was the critical thing. So all the books that I was reading, it was very, not just theory based, it actually made sense. And there's a lot of business books out there. I'm sure a lot of your audience will be reading a lot of business books and YouTube and audio. So there is a lot of information, but it is completely different when you are doing it.
Yeah. When it comes to reality, that's like purely different.
Correct.
Because the book,
pressure, all
the
those things
person
come
who wrote the book,
Yeah.
he mentions by personal experience. So
Correct, yeah.
if you take that idea and put in your thing, no, it doesn't work like that. You need to have your own
experiences.
theory. Yeah,
your
that's
own
matters.
experiences,
Yeah.
and that's where you grow. So I said, okay, right, I'm going to sort of apply for 8 jobs, but they all have to be in sales, because I worked out very early in the piece. Like, most business people are very good at sales.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal at sales.
Yeah, I know.
So in terms of pitching, or how they prospect, or how they sort of build that, create those opportunities. So I knew, okay, sales is what I was very comfortable with. I applied for 8 positions. With I got all 8.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just smashed it.
Yeah.
First time in my life. And it was probably because of my excitement, my energy levels, what I was looking for. So clarity is probably one of the biggest things that I'm going to say to your audience. Really, really define what's important to you and be super clear. But when I sort of said focused on, and without realizing, it's the person that I needed to become, right? And that is what's going to sort of propel me to that, with all the companies and the leadership role and everything where I'm today. So that person that I was thinking about, in 2006, it was like, oh, okay, I have to develop that type of skill sets. I have to be around people. I have to be around mentors that have either in that process of achieving those things, or they've done it. Yeah. So when I applied for those 8 jobs, out of the 8, there was only 2 there that really sort of made me sort of, oh, okay, this looks really, really interesting. The others were okay, but there was 2 in there, and this is probably something really important for your audience. Out of the 2, it was so hard to say, because this was like a 5-year decision. I was going to say, okay, 5 years, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put everything I've got into it, right? Everything into it. So it was like, now I've got 2 options. So that was very hard, and then it was so simple. What I did was I got a piece of paper and I started writing like 10 things that I wanted to achieve in that 5 years, right? And that was probably the biggest. I would encourage anybody to go out there and do this. I wrote that list out, and out of that list, out of the 2 companies, there was only one that I was like, okay, this one's really, really exciting me, and it was a wealth creation company. It talked a lot about mortgages. I didn't know anything about mortgages at that time. I was a newlywed. We were renting at the time. So I go, okay, mortgages, we're going to end up with a mortgage at some stage and get our own house. Might as well learn more about this.
That's amazing. You got very vast experience. So while coming to the point of the business, you had a good experience in working. Then you started your business. Can you explain me, how did you choose and how did you jump into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So once I sort of decided what I wanted to do for 5 years, and I made that list, right? The clarity was in that particular list. And the number one thing on that list was for me to have control over my income. The second thing I had on my list was for my wife to leave her full-time job at the time, because she was in a very negative environment. I was like, oh, okay, well, if I make a lot of money, I'm in control of my income. So I didn't set an income goal. I actually said, if I'm in control if I want to earn more money, I'll make more money, right? So that gave the opportunity for my wife not, to say, okay, she needs to come off work. Third thing was for me to be around highly skilled people.
Yep.
And that was important to me, because being around highly skilled people means the skills would rub off on me. If I was around like high-end mentors that are very good at what they did, just being around them, asking them questions, I can actually, extract some of that knowledge. Yeah. What I have to say about that 10 things on that list, like within the first 3 months, I smashed out like the top 5, just completely boom, But that list actually gave me clarity. And by the time I started that full-time job, the pressure was always there. Anything you're starting new, so I knew I was in the right place. Yeah, I was in a serious organization that we took training seriously. So that week was very stressful, a lot of work that needed to be done, and you had to learn a lot of material. And by the end of the week, they said, and you still didn't know you've got the job, right? By the time you finished that first week of training, they said, right, brush up on all the things that you learned all that week. Monday, you're going to go out on your first appointment. I'm like, Monday, you're going to go on your first appointment.
Straight away.
Yeah. Straight away. So it's like, okay, I'm not ready for this, because everything was all jumbled right, in the training. So, and they said, don't worry. Like, and then what I realized coming on Monday, they said, okay, you're going to go with someone that's experienced. And I said, okay, that's fine. So by the time they took us out and we watched someone experienced sort of go through, the mortgage presentation or wealth creation presentation, how to help people pay down their debt. But the very next day they said, off you go. Here's your pack. Here's all your stuff that you need to sort of cover. Here's your tools, and go. And I did, and taking the training side out of it, right? Look, which was really important. But as I was presenting and going out and listening and hearing people's situation, I started looking at it, going, I can't believe how bad the mortgage industry actually is. How much people are losing to the banks, how much money, even when brokers are structuring loans, like what is going on here? Like this is debt on debt on debt because people keep refinancing every 3 years. That's our industry standard, by the way. Most people will refinance for a cheaper interest rate or a better deal. And but what they're doing, Prithvi, is they keep resetting the loan for another 30 years.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah,
That's how the system is generated and
Correct.
manufactured. That's what they do. Yep.
True. And we're talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars that the banks are profiting. All right. So, and again, when I started sort of really dialing in, looking at this side of it, I was a little bit shocked, to be honest, because then I was explaining to people that, hey, they have had this mortgage of 5 years and the bank has made, they have paid $300,000 in that 5 years to the bank, and the loans only come down by like 60 grand, if that, and showing people. And so we were getting a lot of different types of emotions. We were getting things like, the husband may slam his hand on the table. As we sort of reached in and explained to them how when we structure the loans, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do in terms of the not just the banking side, the budgeting side. How does the plans actually work, and how do we sort of hook up all the portals and all the bank feeds to actually structure this, so we're reporting. We can see all the the things that needs to be improved and measure. That's probably a big part of it. Anyway, so that was I think that's probably once people understand what can be done with finances, all of a sudden they're new people. They're different because they're like, oh, there's such a massive opportunity. So they know they're losing money. We've shown them why they're losing money. And then we're saying, okay, if you do it this way, this is what can actually happen, right? You can own your house in under 7 to 8 years, and you can build your wealth through property investing or shares or whatever it is. Because now people are like, if I can pay off my mortgage faster, I've got this big giant burden off my back, if that makes sense. Yeah,
that's what they feel actually. Yeah.
So we looked at the problem, and now we're talking. We're showing them the solution, and then we're making sure that the support and the mentoring side of it's going to be all built into that package. Yeah?
Okay.
So that's what we do, and we've created like our signature product, which is what we call our Freedom Program, and that's designed around people's needs and how quickly we can help them pay down debts, create assets, and become wealthy. Being overall understanding what wealth is for you. And that could be spending time with your family, it could be spending time with your children, it could be finishing your debts, set up a couple of properties, and this is what we're encouraging right now. A lot of our clients come to us and say, Prashant, we want to be done by the age of 45.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we can do it quite easily.
Yeah, and they want to just retire at that time and just get relaxed. Yep.
Correct. After so many years being in the industry, doing what we do, I've still got the same passion, helping families in this particular area. Why? Because there's so much money that we can actually save for families and redistribute that money towards what's important to them.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. So that's a little bit of my career there. Along the journey, obviously, we've built a couple of other businesses. We've launched My Social Enterprise recently. My Social Enterprise is really about bringing in some high-end sponsorship deals, and then we're lining them up with charities, right? Because there's a big gap with how sponsorships are actually looking at, they want to donate to charity, but they want to know where's that money going. And fundamentally, we're all asking the same questions. There's so many charities out there, and there's such a need for charities, but what are these charities doing with that money? So we want to sort of deep dive into, how the charities actually use this money. We want to teach lot of high-end sponsorship, a lot of high-end corporate companies, to sort of say, okay, these are some of the social changes that you can bring about. And it's like social responsibility, isn't it? So how we're able to do that is through, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's through a lot of, video recording live situations where people have ran into trouble, and then we're looking at not just the prevention side, but how do we solve it, and documenting that process. So, I mean, we've all heard the analogy: prevention is better than the cure.
I know. Yeah, that's it.
So that's an area that we're really excited about. We've also got Prana Advisory. Prana Advisory is about helping big businesses scale up again. But it's not just for big businesses, it could be small to medium-sized businesses. They've got really good turnovers, and they may have the funding there to scale their business, or they may not. So we can finance them, we can do like joint ventures with them, help them get to a certain stage, and then we may exit out or maybe keep it in our portfolio.
Like angel investors, maybe?
Correct, yeah, a little bit of that. And we've got the advisory services, we've got the board services, so marketing, sales, anything that they need to actually drive that business to the next level, we can support them through that.
Okay.
We do have the experience and the knowledge, and I'm constantly bringing in people, from different industries that specialize. They're really good at this part, so, but I've got a really big picture, big goals there around what I want to do with that, with Prana Advisory. So there'll be plenty of organizations and networks could be, that you're going to be creating. So whether it's towards charity, whether it's towards, men's depression is an all-time high right now.
Yes.
Domestic violence is it's a big issue right now. Recently, I was made aware of some of the impact on after COVID. I think a lot of children, they're going back to school. Life is not the same after COVID, and even our work environment's completely changed. So I'm interested in bringing about that particular type of social change, whether it's people want to work from home as long as they're productive, giving them that opportunity, or if they need space to work, where they need that guidance and close, they need to work with someone close in hand, then we need to create those environments. So there's so many different things that we're involved in. But my passion's always going to be in the mortgage and the debt reduction space.
Indirectly, directly and indirectly, it is all about mentoring properly each and everybody. How do you choose your mentors, and how do you say this works for you, it doesn't work for you? How do you scale those things?
Okay, so the short answer there is with the mentors, like we want to be very clear on because the mentors are not going to be everything. When I was when I was younger, I was like, oh, they have to have all this criteria. So right now I've got a property mentor right now. I've done really well in terms of the property space, but I've got a property mentor that he's like, if I shared with you how many properties he's, blow most people's
You
minds
already
away.
told me, I think.
Yeah, correct. Well over 85, right?
Yeah.
So 85 properties, and he's just smashing it. Picking that particular mentor, the skill sets and where he is, was very important to me, and to spend time with him, right? He's just not going to give me his time because, hey, I've selected a mentor. This is who I want to work with. It's like, okay, how do I get close to this person? I had to provide a lot of value for him. So when you're working with someone, working very closely with someone at that level, being exclusive, having that time with that person, you must have your questions sort of dialed in. Obviously, I take a big interest in his life. He takes a big interest in my life and where I'm heading. But when you've got these mentors, they actually care about, what's important to you and where you want to get.
Okay, coming to the mentor, how do you train them, or like suggest them, or like choose for yourself right mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important that going back to that clarity again, like what is it exactly that you want? And I think a lot of people are stuck there. They're not really sure. I want to make money, or I want to be in business. I want to be healthy. So I think even writing that list out, just a small, like 10 things that are important. Out of the 10, if you have to compress it down to 3 or 4 things that's really important to you.
That gives you a proper vision, what exactly you wanted,
Correct.
just getting things done easily. Yeah.
It's such a powerful way to actually get your thoughts on a piece of paper, but a lot of people don't do it.
Not lot, 99%
99%,
don't
that's
do.
right, yeah.
99% they
Correct.
never do. They just imagine, I want this, and even
And it
sometimes,
stays in their brain,
if even my staff, if I explain something, can you just write it down? And what have you done? They're like, no,
Yeah.
I'll just tell you. No, I
Yeah.
just want it on the paper so that
Correct.
I can see how much you are done and what are the skills you
The
have.
fact that you're actually writing it
Yeah.
down, you would actually go up in credibility
Yeah.
with me. But if you're not, oh yeah, I'm listening, I understand. Tomorrow I'm asking the same
Yeah.
question. They haven't,
The answer will be changing.
Yeah.
I know that, yeah.
So that just blows me away. But clarity is probably the first one. And I like to, and someone showed me this as well, like you look at money, right? You look at, it's not necessarily money. I look at wealth, there's health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of difference between wealth and health and, money.
Correct.
Yeah, I know that.
So family is very important to me. So I put that, like they call it the wheel of life, but you sort of create these sections and then you sort of self-analyze. Where am I right now? So go 0 in the middle and then go, okay, money, I may be 1. Depending on what you think 10 is, right? But you may be 1 or 2. Family, family is important to you, but because of what you're doing in your career right now, maybe you're spending less time. Maybe on that is like a 3, but you'd like it to be at least a 5 or a 6. So you self-analyze and you sort of draw this little graph out, right? It's like a web, and then you sort of dial it. But put things in there that it's important to you. Your success depends on you. What you're competing.
Yeah, exactly.
The competition's
Exactly.
you, not anyone else.
Yeah.
So you could
don't compare yourself with somebody else, and don't feel that I'm not having that skills. You are specialized and skilled in something else which nobody has.
Correct.
People should understand these things very
Correct.
particularly.
So your mentor's just like that. So if you are super clear, I can guarantee you the mentor will appear. And then if the mentor will appear, it's a matter of, are you ready for that mentor? Are you, the opportunity, are you actually ready for that opportunity where you see that right person, you're able to, shake his hand and say, hey, with me,
That's right.
Yeah, I'm here, I'm really, really would like to work with you and learn from you if that's possible. It's
and
not about being needy.
You should
Sometimes
keep doors
it's about-
open actually. For this, sorry for interrupting,
Sure.
but I feel that you should keep doors open to allow people into your life and see how they go. But you should be even ready to chop them off if it is not working out.
Correct.
Coming to the mentoring, people are not ready to take right mentors in. Because people see social media.
Would you like to say why? I mean, why people are not ready to take mentoring?
Social media is the 90%, not 90, 99% which is spoiling and putting wrong content out there. People just seeing some luxury cars and like, okay, I can do it in 2 years, 3 years. No, you need to see his background work, like 10 years of hard work stays there. People don't see that thing, that's amazing. How do you suggest guys out there, by seeing these things?
Okay, so social media is a big one right now that everyone's so hooked on, right? And that, like you touched on, like people seeing all the nice cars, the luxury apartments, and I've done $100 million this month, and but realistically, I mean, people are looking at it. Is it true? Even that question, is it true? They're comparing themselves to where they are and comparing themselves to some of these social influencers. We call it the comparison age. They're always comparing this with that. What they're not realizing, 99% of probably is untrue, doesn't work, it's a lie, and it's designed to sell you a course.
Yes, I know that.
So,
and these selling courses has been like, making millions of dollars. Everybody is like,
Correct.
if you want to get into e-commerce, go grab a,
Correct.
Copy in my website, $30. Yeah, that's what everything is what it is.
I don't have a problem with people selling their knowledge and then monetizing it. But if you are paying for that particular course or that particular knowledge, apply it.
Yeah.
Learn quickly. Learn fast. Fail fast. Learn.
That's it.
Learn from it. And you said something earlier. You were saying that if you make a mistake and you learn from it, don't do it again. Just stop.
That's the biggest success for me actually.
Yeah.
I suggest everyone.
Yeah.
Doing mistakes is not at all a wrong thing. That's like human nature.
Yeah.
If you don't do mistakes, that means you're not learning anything.
You're not pushing yourself. You're not driving yourself.
The main thing is, if you do something and which you felt that, I don't even say it's wrong, you learn something, okay, if you feel that it's not good, just write it down or keep it in your mind that next time don't repeat it.
Yeah.
If you do the same thing every day, oh God, you're going to be a gem.
For me, like I like that personal touch. If I'm working with my mentor, even if it's a Zoom call, I want to have that personal connection with them. And sometimes you see a lot of online mentoring, they can have 20 or 30 people on the same thing. But if I'm working on certain things, certain things like if it's about general marketing and that information is being shared by 30 other people, that's fine. You know, it's general, right? I'll be one of the 30 or one of the 50, you know, but I'm not really that interested unless I'm more interested in specific things regarding marketing or sales, and I want the expert there with me. If I don't know it, who knows it? If they know it, why aren't they showing it to me?
That's it.
You know, what can I do to bring them into my business, or how do I incorporate this faster? If it doesn't work for me, I can learn and say, okay, next, what do I do next? Yeah. So I think a lot of people just keep feeding. They keep feeding on the social media.
Yeah.
And they think by just feeding on the social media, or you know, they're going to be fine. They're going to become rich or wealthy or whatever it is. You know, or become healthy and fit.
Yeah. And to be frank, I think 80 to 90% wealthiest people don't even use social media properly. They never come to the limelights. They don't wanted it.
Correct,
they wanted to build not money. They wanted to build the wealth back.
Correct, yeah.
So they just sit on the back and play all
I'm
the
one
games.
of those.
Yeah,
I'm one of
yeah,
those.
You should not
we don't even advertise. We rarely do any advertising. Over the years, like now, social media is at a certain point, we allow a little bit of our budget towards that, but not really. A lot of our testimonials, referrals, people that we know, we work with in our industry, they are happy to send all our clients our way.
So as you told that you wanted to support more, you know, people to come in. So how do you suggest those guys if out wanted to join your team or just start working with you? How do you suggest them?
We want to make it easy. I know the old traditional method is, give us a resume, right?
I don't even believe that resume. Trust me,
yeah.
Prashant, it's like 90% of like a lie.
Correct. So, and I've been in recruiting, right, for many, many years.
Yeah.
So I see that most of the time, okay, I do look at the resume, right? Have they actually filled it out? Is it up to date? But my HR team looks after all that. You know, I just scan through it and say, okay, this is the particular role. You know, this is the skill sets that they say they've got. It is an application. You do have to, you know, put an application in and say, okay, these are some of my skill sets that I'm good at, and I want to be better in these things. And, you know, just by registering your details and saying, hey, you're interested, we'll probably get 100, 200 people that are interested to work with us, right? So, hate to say it, like you're in that competition zone, and we're going to pick the best ones. So out of the 100, 200 people, we may pick 20 people. And so out of that 20 people, you know, 3 of them will be in this high-flying leadership roles. You know, we'll put the training and the mentoring around that to make sure that they're growing, because we can launch a business a week.
That's
That's
easy actually.
The challenge is how do we manage it all? It's not usually the money. Yeah, there's plenty of money, and it's not. If you get the money, it's about how do you get the right resources in there to make sure.
All about how to organize the things. That's it. It's like everybody can, you know, sitting just there, people can say, I have the business idea.
So most people are going to fail in business. So it's like, again, fail very quickly, you know, test very quickly. You don't need to spend millions and stuff and all your resources. Find out if the market, there's a need for that particular product, you know. So a lot of our businesses now, we spend a lot of time scoping that part of it. You know, like, is there an actual need? So why do businesses fail? It's for that reason. The idea is great. It makes sense in my head. Let's run off and do it. And let's try and make that idea work. And then keep forcing that idea until that results, until the market says no.
Sorry for interrupting, but when you are creating idea and presenting it into the world, people start losing themselves, you know, that the main visionary. People go somewhere and, you know, if they get better funding, then they start relaxing and start enjoying. No, that's not how it works, because your visionary should be so strong. When you get a proper funding, or if investors trust you and put some money, you need to work to make it, like, you know, successful. That's that's the reason mainly 90% people fail in the first 1 year, 2 years.
Correct. Sometimes people think, if I only had the funding, then I can actually get the business.
No.
Make no mistake, funding is very important. Money is very, very important, because it's the lifeblood of your business.
But that's not everything.
That's not everything, Because I've had funding come through, I've sort of, you know, mismanaged the funding, not in a bad way, but just putting into areas, social media, in areas that, you know, it didn't need to go into. Why? Because of testing, right? Now we don't need to do all that testing. We know very quickly how to get businesses off the ground. And it's the same structure, same templates that we use. And we don't have to have that stress test. Is it going to survive 3 years or 5 years? 12 months, it should be profitable. You know, that's kind of a benchmark. And there's two sides of it. There's startups where you're launching, and then there's another side to it where you're just acquiring established businesses.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate because we don't have debts in our business.
That's actually the best thing, actually,
Correct.
putting yourself in a debt position where it gives you a lot of inconvenience. People say that, I want to talk to you about these things also. People
But
say
right
that.
now, I'm happy. I'm happy because you can be really, really profitable. But I'm happy to take on more debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people usually say
Where I
that
am
you
in the
need to
business,
have a more debt to maintain, more taxes. But I don't believe that putting yourself in a debt is like wrong. Coming to the point, how you choose the people around you and how you drag them inside your business and what are the inputs you are going to give them. Like, for example, it's like mentoring.
I never drag people into the business. It's the worst thing you can do.
No,
right?
obviously.
So what I try and do is I share the vision. So this is what the business is, yeah, and this is where it's going. It's very important that they understand it's with or without them, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not relying on that one individual to make up their mind that, yes, I'm going to join this business. I'm going to be that guy. I'm putting my hand up, right? It'd be great, but guess what? From a resource point of view, if people are hungry, they want to drive and they want to get to that stage, it's important that they don't think that and this is the mistake that people make. They say, oh, they're going to really, really need me to do it to get to that level. No, there's plenty of people that can actually do this. The one that puts their hand up, the one that's most hungry, the one that's got the most attitude, the most driven, they're the ones I want in the business.
Like amazing.
And I'm going to create that platform and say, you know what, let's put all my company resources, I'm going to put time into this person because this person is going to drive that business. There's businesses that we've parked for
obviously,
because we're saying, nah, we don't have the right person that's going to run that.
Obviously, if you put
it's like Star
something,
Wars. George Lucas saying, I'm going to make 3, 4, 5. Well, actually, what did he do? 4, 5, and 6. So I'll come back to 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, that's not how it works. Yeah, you should start from zero. Then only you'll know the value.
So even in that client scenario, we are definitely working in a partnership because we've got a lot of information, data, knowledge, the structure, the efficiency side of it. We will still put together a program and a plan for them, but we still need them to anticipate and work with us.
Okay.
People will say, I need to have passion. I need to have that my energy that I put into means something. Yeah. So if someone says that to me, I'll still clarify and understand that. But after we understand that, and that's the initial process of actually understanding what the person wants, it's like, okay, great. How do we put together a plan to help them get that? So any individual that wants to work with us or any of our different companies or different brands, same thing. We will train them, mentor them on all the different stages to actually get their desired result.
Amazing. Do you have any time period for this? Like, see, usually if somebody is putting some program, they'll have time, like 6 months, 6 weeks, these type of. You have these things, or like how you're going to judge that?
We've got a 6-month program and a 12-month, and they're kind of interconnected. So the 6 months is the first one. And it's like stages, right? Depending on the type of role. What does the first 6 months of working with us look like?
Okay.
Yeah. After the 6 months, 1 year, where should you be?
Okay.
So you have to learn how to integrate.
Yes.
Yeah. And we do have a culture of when people are coming in, we need them to sort of be open about what they're going to be bringing to the team as well.
Yep.
So it's not about, hey, it's a 9-to-5 job. This is your job description. This is all you do. Well, you need that type of structure, but we also need a structure that's going to actually, okay, first year, this is what what you're going to do. Next 12 months, this is what and you're able to change along the ways. So it's not structured just on, you're going to be in sales and that's it. What happens if you're no good in sales, or we realize, okay, that's not.
Yeah, that's the main point. If they're like not good in one particular thing and they wanted to be there, how do you train them? Do you guys like have a particular training period for them?
I always look for attitude first.
Oh, that's right.
I always look for attitude first. Then I look at capacity, capability, of the individual. Do the people have big goals? Have they got big dreams? If they've got very, very small, limited thinking, is there something that we can sort of expand on? Right? If they can expand, they want to grow and with us, believe me, we do have a culture where, it's kind of what you do. It's not, I have got a saying inside the company, we don't grow mushrooms.
That's great.
So when people come in, it's like because of the energy and drive around the organization, people will grow faster anyway.
Yes.
Like, it's not necessarily the offer. I mean, everyone's interested, what's the offer, right?
Yep.
It's what is the value that some of these people they're going to apply that's going to provide to the business.
Okay.
Right, so we're talking about 6 months investment, 12 months investment. We know we can grow leaders. We know we can actually have people run these organizations.
Okay.
So we've got a vehicle that actually fast tracks a lot of these things. Now, let's not make a mistake here. Like, we don't want people applying for these positions because they want to be your serial entrepreneurs. They see this shiny thing, they're off there. They see this on the YouTube, they're off there. We're after people that are going to come into our organization. They're going to learn the skill sets. They're going to work. That we're going to position the right mentors to help them grow. And these are the people that over time are going to be driving the business.
Yep.
Yeah. I said to you earlier.
Indirectly, you'll be even teaching them the skill sets where they want to reach in their life.
Correct,
Yeah, that's
we
what,
want to start leveraging and teaching these skill sets very, very quickly, because if we want to launch a business a week, what does that look like? If you've got your own design team, you've got your own sales, inside sales, where everything can be mapped out. The CRMs are there, our marketing's in-house. Fundamentally, all the core things that a business needs are there. What's the real missing ingredient?
Yes.
Yeah, what is the real, and this is really, really important for the people that are watching this. What is the real essence of what's missing inside that business? It's that drive, that energy, and who's going to have that?
Hunger. I feel like
the
it's
hunger,
like hunger. Yeah.
100%.
Hunger.
Yeah. Your hunger is.
It's like
gonna
a
drive
day
you.
motivation. That's it. Motivation will never take you to top. Always
Correct.
discipline. I feel.
Motivation second. The
Yeah.
first is the hunger
Yep.
or why is important, and then the motivation comes naturally after.
Yeah.
People watch these things for motivation.
Okay, that's amazing, Prashant, and I'm so happy to have a conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you.